She was the kind of woman everyone loved. Quiet, kind, always smiling. The type of person you'd never imagine disappearing without a trace. But one summer evening, she did. Her phone went silent. Her friends stopped hearing from her, and her family thought she'd just gone away for a few days. Weeks later, police were called to her house. They started digging in the backyard, and what they found buried beneath the soil changed everything. How does someone end up buried in the very place they call home? Who did this and why? Because sometimes the scariest monsters aren't strangers in the dark. They're the ones we love. Headphone music swells, a chilling whisper echoes, found buried in her own backyard. The truth is terrifying. She vanished without a trace, but the truth was hiding closer than anyone could ever imagine, buried just a few feet beneath her own home. In the small, peaceful town of Maple Creek, the nights were quiet, and the air smelled of pine trees and rain-soaked grass. It was a kind of town where people left their doors unlocked, where children played outside until sunset, and where bad things were supposed to happen somewhere else, not here. That's why when Samantha Blake, a 29-year-old woman known for her kindness and radiant smile, went missing, the entire town froze in disbelief. Samantha wasn't just another name. She was the heart of the community. She had recently started a small YouTube baking channel, where her laughter filled the room as she taught her followers how to make cupcakes, pastries, and cookies with love. Her channel had just started gaining attention. The comments were full of warmth, people calling her the internet's sweetest soul. But beneath that joy, those close to her noticed something different lately, a shadow behind her smile. Her sister, Melissa, later recalled a strange conversation a week before Samantha disappeared. She sounded distracted, like something was bothering her. Melissa said in an interview, I asked if she was okay, and she said, "Yeah, just tired. You know how the internet gets sometimes." But her voice didn't sound fine. It was Friday evening, 8:37 p.m., when Samantha sent her final message. "I'll drop by tomorrow with cupcakes. Don't stay up too late." Her phone showed that message was delivered, but never read. The next morning came. No Samantha. Her car sat quietly in the driveway. Her purse and keys were still on the kitchen counter. The front door was locked from the inside. The oven timer blinked midnight, as if frozen in time. Her neighbors remembered seeing her on the porch around 11:30 p.m. the night before. She was talking on the phone, pacing nervously. One described her as looking uneasy, like she was waiting for someone who wasn't coming. By noon the next day, Melissa drove to her sister's house. The curtains were open, the lights were off, and the silence was suffocating. When she knocked, no one answered. She called Samantha's name. Nothing. Inside, everything looked perfectly normal, too normal. A freshly baked batch of cookies sat cooling on the counter. The scent still lingered in the air. The living room TV remote lay on the couch, pointed toward a paused YouTube video of her own channel. Samantha smiling into the camera, saying, "If you ever feel lonely, just bake something. The smell makes you feel less alone." That video would later haunt Melissa forever. The police were called within an hour. At first, they suspected a voluntary disappearance, maybe stress, maybe burnout. She had no signs of struggle, no broken glass, no forced entry. Her bank cards and phone remained untouched. But those who knew Samantha best refused to believe she had just walked away. She wasn't that type of person. She loved her family too deeply. She was planning to visit her parents that weekend. She had an upload scheduled for Sunday, and she had paid her utility bills earlier that day. Everything screamed routine normalcy, life as usual. Search teams scoured the nearby woods, lakes, and hiking trails. Dozens of volunteers joined in, their flashlights slicing to the night air as helicopters hovered above. Flyers with her photo, her bright smile, and the tagline, "Bring Samantha home," were posted everywhere. As the days passed, hope began to fade. Rumors spread through Maple Creek like wildfire. Some said she had an online stalker. Others whispered about a secret relationship, but no one had proof. Then, something strange happened. A neighbor across the street reported hearing faint sounds late at night, digging, metal scraping against dirt, but assumed it was someone repairing their garden fence. Another claimed their dog kept barking toward Samantha's backyard for days after she vanished. The police dismissed it at first. After all, how could anything be hidden there? The backyard was small, visible from all angles, with a well-kept lawn and a flower bed Samantha had planted herself just weeks earlier. But 3 months later, that same neighbor noticed an unbearable smell. Faint at first and stronger, spreading to the summer air. She called the authorities. Officers arrived, expecting perhaps a dead animal. But as they dug through the patch of disturbed soil near the fence, what they found was beyond imagination. Wrapped in a thin floral blanket, the remains of Samantha Blake lay buried less than 15 feet from her bedroom window. Her once vibrant home had become her own grave. The scene was surreal. Detectives, unable to comprehend what they were seeing, stood in silence as the forensic lights flickered across the backyard. A reporter later described it as a nightmare carved into the heart of a dream town. News vans crowded the street. People wept openly. The entire town of Maple Creek was in shock. How could someone bury her in her own backyard without anyone noticing? How could the truth have been hiding so close for so long? And most chilling of all, who did this and why? Because the first thing the police realized was this. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of struggle, and no foreign fingerprints. Whoever buried Samantha had been inside her home before, maybe even more than once. And as the cameras flashed and the world demanded answers, one haunting truth settled over Maple Creek. The killer didn't just want her gone. They wanted her forgotten, buried right where she felt safest. The morning of April 18th started like any other in the quiet neighborhood of Cedar Hill. Birds chirped. Sunlight fell softly through the trees, and a light breeze carried the smell of fresh-cut grass. But behind one small blue house at the end of the street, something felt off. A neighbor, Mrs. Halvorson, was watering her garden when she noticed the gate behind Lena Carter's house wide open. It was strange. Lena was careful, even obsessive about keeping her backyard locked. Her dog, Bailey, barked restlessly near the fence, whining toward the garden, a small patch of earth that seemed to have been disturbed recently. When Mrs. Halvorson approached, she felt a chill crawl up her spine. The ground was uneven, as if someone had dug it up and quickly covered it back. Maybe it's just a dog, she thought, but something inside told her to call the police. Minutes later, 2 patrol cars pulled into the driveway. Officer Daniels and Detective Marquez arrived, expecting a routine welfare check. But what they discovered would shock the entire community. The officers knocked on Lena's door. No response. They called her phone, straight to voicemail. Everything inside looked untouched. Her purse still hung on the wall hook. Her keys were by the counter. Her favorite coffee mug sat half full, cold and forgotten. It was as if she had simply vanished in the middle of her morning routine. Detective Marquez walked toward the back door and paused. Muddy footprints led out into the yard. "Something's not right," he whispered. The air felt heavy, and the silence was suffocating. When the officers approached the patch of disturbed earth, Bailey began to bark again, louder this time, almost frantic. With every bark, the tension thickened. Marquez looked at Daniels and gave a nod. They began to dig. After just a few inches, a horrifying smell filled the air. Everyone froze. What they unearthed next would haunt them forever. Lena Carter's body, buried beneath her own garden, wrapped in a faded bedsheet. Her once bright face was now pale, lifeless, and caked with soil. Her nails were broken, as if she had tried to claw her way out. The discovery spread like wildfire across the neighborhood. Reporters swarmed the scene, flashing cameras, helicopters circling overhead. How could something so horrific happen in such a peaceful town? As the investigation began, detectives started piecing together Lena's last known movements. According to phone records, she had last texted her sister, "I'll call you in the morning." That call never came. Her phone went dead around midnight. Neighbors told police that they'd heard strange noises the night before. Footsteps, faint arguing, then silence. One neighbor even claimed to have seen a dark-colored pickup truck parked outside Lena's home around 11:30 p.m. But when police ran the license plate reported by that neighbor, it led to a dead end, no records, no match. Inside Lena's house, the evidence was puzzling. Nothing seemed stolen. There were no signs of forced entry, no shattered glass, no broken locks. But in the kitchen, detectives found one chilling detail: a cup of coffee with 2 lipstick marks. That suggested she wasn't alone that night. Further investigation revealed that Lena had recently ended a relationship with a man named Aaron Blake, a freelance photographer she'd met online. Friends said the breakup had been tense, even frightening. Lena had mentioned in passing that Aaron didn't take rejection well. When police questioned Aaron, he appeared calm, too calm. He claimed he hadn't seen Lena in weeks and that he'd been out of town during the incident, but his phone's GPS told a different story. His location data placed him near Cedar Hill on the same night Lena disappeared. Still, there wasn't enough to arrest him. No physical evidence. No eyewitnesses. Only suspicions and inconsistencies. Days turned into weeks, and the case grew colder by the hour. The autopsy revealed that Lena had died from blunt force trauma to the head. There were no defensive wounds, suggesting she might have been attacked suddenly, perhaps by someone she trusted. Detective Marquez couldn't shake the feeling that the truth was closer than it seemed. He kept replaying the details: the open gate, the disturbed soil, the 2 lipstick marks, the missing hours on her phone's data log. Something didn't fit. Then, in a stroke of luck or fate, a new piece of evidence surfaced. A teenage boy who lived across the street came forward with a piece of video footage from his doorbell camera. The footage showed a shadowy figure leaving Lena's backyard at around 2:13 a.m. The figure was tall, wearing a dark hoodie, and carrying what looked like a shovel. The face was obscured, but when the video was enhanced, a reflection from a nearby car window caught something: the glint of a camera strap hanging from the person's shoulder, the same kind Aaron Blake used for his photography. Police moved fast. They searched Aaron's home and found dirt-stained boots, a spade with traces of soil matching the backyard sample, and a burned bedsheet in the garbage can behind his garage. It was enough for an arrest. But the story didn't end there. When Aaron was brought in for interrogation, he smiled coldly and said, "You think you've solved it, but you have no idea what really happened." He refused to say another word. That one sentence changed everything, turning a closed case into something far more chilling. Because for the first time, detectives began to question whether Aaron had acted alone or if someone else had been there that night. Someone who wanted Lena gone, but hidden so perfectly that even the police almost missed it. When news of Aaron Blake's arrest broke, Cedar Hill fell into a strange silence. The town that had once been filled with the sound of lawnmowers, children's laughter, and weekend barbecues now carried only whispers. Whispers of betrayal, horror, and disbelief. Reporters camped outside the courthouse. Cameras flashed as Aaron was led inside, wrists bound in cold metal cuffs. His expression remained disturbingly calm, his eyes betraying neither fear nor remorse. To the outside world, he looked less like a man accused of murder, and more like a man who knew something no one else did. Inside the courtroom, the evidence laid bare was devastating. The soil samples from his shovel, the burned bedsheet, the GPS trail, and that haunting doorbell footage. The prosecution painted a clear picture: a rejected lover who couldn't let go, who'd chosen to bury his heartbreak along with the woman he once claimed to love. But as the trial continued, something strange began to emerge. Aaron's defense attorney revealed messages from Lena's phone that suggested she'd been speaking to someone else, someone mysterious, using an unlisted number. Those messages were brief, coded, almost fearful. "Don't tell him I know." One read, "He's watching me," said another. The courtroom went still. Who was she talking about? Was it Aaron? Or was there someone else? Someone even closer to her? Detective Marquez sat in the back row, listening intently. He'd always felt that something about this case didn't add up. The timeline, the missing hours, the strange way Aaron had spoken during his interrogation. You think you've solved it, but you have no idea what really happened. What did he mean by that? Marquez ordered a re-examination of Lena's digital history. That's when a new revelation came to light, one that would twist the case in a completely different direction. Hidden inside her email drafts, never sent, never deleted, were several messages addressed to herself, almost like a digital diary. In one of them, Dated just 3 days before her death, Lena had written, "I found something I wasn't supposed to. He's not who he says he is. I think I'm being followed." The detectives froze as they read the next line. "If anything happens to me, tell them to look at the videos." But there was a problem. No one knew what video she was talking about. When the police searched Lena's home again, they found an external hard drive hidden behind a panel in her closet. It contained hours of footage, secret recordings she had made over the past month, and what they saw changed everything. The videos revealed Lena sitting at her kitchen table, speaking to the camera in a low voice, her eyes full of fear. She described strange occurrences. Her car being followed, doors unlocked when she returned home, late-night phone calls with no one on the other end. In one recording, she mentioned a name, Mason. That was the first time anyone had heard it. Further investigation revealed that Mason wasn't some random name. He was Aaron's business partner, the quiet one who stayed behind the camera, editing videos, managing their small production company. Mason had no criminal record, no suspicious behavior, but he disappeared right after Aaron's arrest. Detective Marquez immediately issued a warrant for his whereabouts. Days later, Mason was found not hiding, but dead in his apartment, an apparent suicide. On the table lay a note, written in shaky handwriting. "I didn't mean for it to happen. She wasn't supposed to die. We just wanted to scare her." The revelation hit like a thunderclap. The case that had seemed so clear now unfolded into something darker, more complex, a plan gone wrong, fueled by jealousy, control, and fear. Through digital forensics, it was discovered that Mason had been the one texting Lena from the unknown number. He had been following her, watching her, trying to intimidate her into silence. Silence about what, though, remained a mystery. What was she trying to expose? Weeks later, detectives finally uncovered what Lena had found. A series of financial transfers tied Aaron and Mason's production company. Large sums of money from fake sponsors, hidden in offshore accounts. Fraud, identity theft, money laundering. Their company wasn't just making YouTube videos. It was a front for something much bigger. Lena had discovered their secret by accident, while helping them edit a video. She saw a receipt that didn't match the story Aaron told her. When she confronted him, he laughed it off. But from that day on, her life became a nightmare. Shadowed footsteps, hushed arguments, and that growing feeling that someone was always watching. The puzzle was finally clear. Aaron and Mason had confronted Lena the night she died. A heated argument turned violent. In the chaos, Lena struck her head on the counter. Panic set in. Mason wanted to call for help. Aaron refused. He convinced Mason to help him bury her, to make it look like she had run away. Only later, when guilt consumed Mason, did he try to end it all. But the haunting part? Even after the case closed, new rumors began spreading online. People reported strange activity on Lena's old YouTube channel, videos uploading by themselves, her voice whispering faintly in the background. Some claimed to hear her last words in static. "I'm still here." Whether those were real or just eerie coincidences, no one knows. But her story left a mark on her town, her viewers, and everyone who followed the case. Detective Marquez retired soon after, but he kept Lena's photo on his desk till his last day. When asked why, he simply said, "Because some stories never end, they just fade into silence." And with that, the screen fades to black. A final line appears. Justice was served, but the truth still lies buried.